Right. I'm here with Jacob Tice. He is our guest this week for Word on the Street. Jacob is the Director of Digital Operations at South Tacoma Auto. Jacob, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. We're starting our week off strong. It's been a pretty promising October. Things are feeling strong.
Good. Definitely good to hear that things are promising this month. Of course, with closing out the year, things are definitely kind of up in the air this year more than years past. How are you all, getting prepared for Q4?
Well, I'll tell you that we've been really focused on bringing in unique items of inventory so that we can get those shoppers who are, just on that mission for that one special car. That's the car that we're trying to get onto our lot right now. So I know our buyers are out there being aggressive, trying to pull those specialty units, boutique units kind of into the showroom so that we can get those committed buyers who are just looking for that exact perfect match. So that's one of the things that we're doing. We're really aware of the trade-in values just accelerating through the ceiling over the course of this year. So staying in touch with our customers, the people that have a relationship with us, and letting them know that, for maybe the first time in the history of the car business, a vehicle is an appreciating asset right now. This is a thing that you made an investment in that you can get some of your money out of. So that's a conversation that we're having with our customers, just educating them, letting them know that this is an incredible moment to upgrade your vehicle. There's a lot of dark stuff going on out there, but we can make a bright spot by building the perfect car deal that you've been waiting to have.
Yeah, you mentioned that these are definitely unique times, right? It's not every year you
No
got
question.
a pandemic, an election, and all the other things we've had all at one time. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the automotive industry? What really appealed to you about car buying?
Well, I joined the industry back in 2012. I was coming out of school and I had a degree in economics, and I was looking for places where I could really put my brain, my pattern finding brain, my analytics brain to work. And had a couple of conversations with a few different car dealers, tried my hand on the sales side for a little while, and eventually the amount of information that became available to car dealerships through website analytics, the reporting from all of your third-party vendors, social media presence and advertising, online reputation, digital reselling, all of these things started to balloon kind of throughout the 2010s. And so it was a real marriage of my passion and, my inclinations, the things that I'm good at, and the needs of the store. Because having a dedicated person to keep an eye on your technology, make sure that your website is performing the way that it's supposed to, make sure that your digital buys make sense and are strategic, that you're not just throwing money onto the internet and hoping that something good will happen. It's such an important consideration, and it's not something that you necessarily want to put on the already overcrowded plates of a GM or your GSMs. It's the knowledge required to really dig into that is so specialized at this point, and also so broad. It's a key lifeline. As you were saying, there's so much going on right now that having a digital specialist, having an online specialist, someone to, when an internet connection comes into it, there's a person who can help make sure that that goes right, is just more important than it's ever been. So I feel like my career has been building towards really a moment like this, when the internet becomes not only an incredibly important partner to the dealership, but almost a lifeline, for continued success.
So you mentioned that you got into the industry 2012. So right around that time, that's just when, Twitter, Facebook, a lot of social media are starting to really catch their momentum, find their place. Digital is, an entire department and specialty. Of course, that firsthand. So in a lot of ways, it sounds like you evolved while the responsibilities of the role itself evolved. Tell me a little bit about that, coming into, an industry that, you're kind of carving out your own new niche into it, and how, you were able to glean from some of the, let's say, old school folks that, maybe digital was a little new to them. Tell me a little bit about that experience and learning a new job while also learning a new paradigm.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting here specifically. Our dealer principal, my boss, has always kind of leaned into the digital side of things. So it was something that he didn't necessarily understand, but he recognized the potential. He saw that there was a space there that we could operate and flourish that not a lot of people were taking advantage of. Car business in general tends to lag a little bit, technologically speaking. we just like to do things the old way, and that just kind of rolls forward through time. But Mo was forward thinking. He gave me the opportunity to try things and show that they worked. So it started real small. I think the first product that I brought into the store was just a simple, let's record inbound calls. Just bring in a tracking number, load those things into a dashboard, and just see what we got. And from there, we recognized how these calls were being treated on the floor, so we built a BDC together, and got agents to specialize in working internet leads and those phone ups so that they had that dedicated attention, and our salespeople could focus on the people in front of them, and we could all prosper in that way rather than having our face-to-face folks working on phone leads, internet leads that require a slightly different skill set and often multiple days of no contact, that kind of grind of the non-face-to-face interactions. We were able to move to a BDC department, which is incredibly common now, was not all that common 2013, 2014 when we were putting that together. So that evolution has always come in little steps. We try a thing, it works, so we make it bigger. We're looking now, I think the next iteration of that is probably digital retailing, where it's something I know dealerships are really excited about being able to bring it into the store as an option. Customers are just now starting to learn about that and engage with dealerships in that way. And I think that's our next big expansion, is into full-on digital retailing, digital contracting, and delivery, where you can order up a car right here, South Tacoma Auto, bring it to your door.
30 minutes or less, or it's on us.
That's right.
So you spoke a little bit about, the approach being very different from an internet lead versus, foot traffic. And I'm sure that the behaviors of those customers are also very different. Can you tell me a little bit about, what some of those differences are, whether it's the certain approach and kind of the, I guess the consumer coming in now equipped with way more information than they ever were before?
Well, I think that's something that we really lean into here at the store. We think it's best to roll with that information dump. If customers can find anything about my cars anywhere online, they should be able to find that stuff on my website. They should be able to reach out to me, and if they have questions, I should answer those questions quickly and efficiently. And I think that's one of the biggest changes. The information disparity between dealerships and customers has gotten much, much tighter. We're basically running on the same level now. And it makes more sense. You're going to build better relationships if you lean into that and say, look, I know you're an educated consumer. I know you were looking at 8 to 10 different websites before you came and talked to me. And so you and I both know that this car means something to you. You had all the options in the world before you reached out to me. You had all the information in the world before you reached out to me. So what can we do to wrap this up, to prove to you that your first instinct was correct, that South Tacoma Auto is the spot that you want to pick up a car? And we have the inventory you want, and we can provide you with the experience, that streamlined, personalized, customized experience that makes sure that you have that peace of mind walking away from the store. And if anything goes wrong, you can always bring it back into our service shop. We're very committed to that after the sale. But I think all of this is kind of next to your question, which is, what is the difference really in behavior? And I would say that broadly, that's a conversation about who is in charge of the pace of the conversation. When I have a customer in store, a skilled salesperson is going to run that conversation. They know kind of the pathway that they need to go down and have the tools to address the objections that come up in person. On the internet and over the phone, that disconnection puts a lot more of that pace power in the customer's hands, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm having a text every 30 seconds conversation with a customer, and then they see something they don't like, or they hear something that they don't like, or they just get busy, or they just get bored, that conversation is over. And it's going to restart when the customer feels comfortable restarting it. So I think the most important thing when it comes to addressing those differences in behavior is making sure that when you're engaging with customers, you give them a reason beyond the car to talk to you. For us, what we really focus on in our BDC is the human element. And who am I as a person? Who are you as a person? Where can we relate here so that we're building a relationship beyond a transaction? We're building something where I have a fondness for you, you have a fondness for me, and that's what's going to bring you into my store, and that's what's going to keep you coming back through my service department, picking up your next car, sending your aunts and uncles my way. Is that human element that pushes past the basic transactional, you give me money, I give you a car. But we're looking to build in the BDC something that compels a little bit beyond that with our internet and phone leads, because that's what you need. When you have them in the store, it's a lot easier to keep them there. When they're out of the store, it's a little more tricky to show them that you are the right place. And one of the strongest ways that you can do that is to just be a human being, top to bottom, and engage with them in that way, rather than as, the mouthpiece of South Tacoma Auto or anything like that. Like, no, I'm Jacob. I go home at night. I got a dog. I'm a person. Let's talk like people, and then we'll meet your needs. You called me because you have a need that you need that I can fill, and I want to fill that in exactly the right way. I want to get you the perfect car. So let's start there, and then we'll get you into the store and we'll get you taken care of. And that's kind of how we have addressed that difference in behavior between your walk-ins and your online and phone ups.
It is interesting that you mentioned that, because, in today's era, it's big data. There's so many rows and lines of numbers that you can look at. And sometimes you can get lost into the details of that and forget that there is that human element, and, a lot of different pieces of the digital marketing repertoire, if you will, can help bring some of that, human element back. So it is very good that you all are putting that human piece of it first. That should be the easiest thing, but sometimes that can be the most challenging.
You're absolutely right. You get so tied up in like where this, you can see in our market-based pricing, our car ranks first within 500 miles. If you look at these other cars, you can see that they have 15,000 miles fewer. And eventually what you're doing is creating analysis paralysis. You're putting out so much information and so many details that the customer themselves gets lost, like a person standing in front of a 150 item menu. It's just eventually you're like, you know what, I'm just not going to eat today. I'm done. And so what we're trying to do is, simplify it down. Do you want to work with me? Do you want to work with me? And all the rest of it will figure itself out. And we know, we're coming into every transaction armed with a certified pre-owned program, which is rare among independent dealerships. That's a lifetime warranty backing it up. We have a 3-day buyback. We're committed to single no haggle pricing because, again, we're just trying to lean into the amount of information that the customer has. We want to put everything out on the table first and foremost so that it's just out of the way and we can focus on who we are as people and getting your needs met as a customer.
So I want to go back to something you said earlier, how, nowadays this vehicle is an appreciating asset, whereas, things in the past, it might not be that way. And you also mentioned a little bit of the differences between an independent dealership and a franchise dealership. Let's start with kind of the acquisition model. I don't know that a lot of people know how car dealerships go about actually getting their inventory, and it's completely different beast entirely when you have an independent dealership. Can you tell me a little bit about how you all go about hand selecting and choosing the inventory that you bring in, while also talking about some of the trades you all get?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple of different ways that we bring in our own inventory. Of course, trading units from customers is always huge. Now, not every trade that comes in is going to be something that we put on our lot, but it's a place where we can find some quality units. For the last 6 months or so, auctions have been pretty tight, and there's not a lot of supply out there. What supply is there? We are now facing the headwinds of franchise dealerships coming to independent auctions or auctions for pre-owned vehicles because their own orders for new cars are going way, way down. There just aren't that many out there. They still have to keep their lots full too. So we are leaning more and more these days on, and it's interesting you use the term hand selected, because we do have a buyer's team here at South Tacoma Auto, and their whole job is to be on Craigslist, on OfferUp, on eBay, looking for those really prized pieces of inventory, those really excellent vehicles. We have one of our buyers seems to specialize in older but almost no miles. Like that's his sweet spot. He'll find 2014, 2015 vehicles with like 27,000 miles on them, 18,000 miles on them. Just crap. I don't know how he does it.
Grandma's garage, I guess.
Those are as I mentioned earlier in the conversation, those are the pieces that are really driving our success right now. It's less having 15, 2019 Nissan Rogues fresh from Enterprise, and more about having that one leather black on black manual transmission BRZ that guy has been looking for 6 months, and now we have it. That's really where we have found our niche while auction prices are through the roof, while auction supplies are under the floor. The best place to go is to the street. Go to the curb, see who's got a for sale sign sitting in their windshield, and talk to them. And that gives you a little bit of room also on your front end. For us, if we're able to find a great deal on the street, guy has to, we're in a heavy military area, so someone looking to offload their car quickly because they're about to deploy for 2 or 3 years or move to Germany or whatever maybe the military may be asking of them. Those are pieces that we can pick up well below book, offer them at book, and still maintain a bit of front end gross. So it's that, and that trend is something, that goes way prior to this and will continue long after that. Price transparency is driving everyone towards the bottom. So the solution that we've come across and what's been working for us is just sourcing correctly. If I don't pay a massive premium to get the car onto my lot, then I can sell it at a fair price and still make my money. So sourcing inventory really is one of the most important means of survival while things are the way they are, is finding unique places where you can pick up inventory at a great deal, sell it to your customers at a fair deal, and make a little bit of money as you do it.
It's interesting, definitely looking to work that margin before, like you mentioned in the
Exactly.
acquisition phase, as opposed to, let me four square you and put a couple of numbers on this side and make it balance out a little bit. From the sounds of how you all go about selecting the inventory, from, how people can kind of see your reputation online, it's clear that you all take care of your customers. Tell me a little bit about what separates you all from the pack. It definitely sounds like one of the things would be kind of acting almost as a guide to somebody looking for their new vehicle, as opposed to just trying to get a deal done.
That's exactly right. We're focused on getting the best fit for our customers, and there are a whole bunch of ways that we approach that. One of them is we don't pay commissions on grosses. We pay for units sold. So from the very from moment one, my salesperson is not motivated to just sell you the car that will make them the most money. They want to sell you the car that you are going to keep after our 3-day buyback period expires. You know, the car that you're going to keep after the first oil change, and the one that really meets your needs. So that is a big part of it, making sure that we're meeting the customers where they are and providing them with the product that they want rather than the product that we want to sell. Another key element there is just having a smooth process, you know, and it can be challenging moving a customer from the BDC is the first person they talk to, then they talk to somebody on the sales floor, then they're talking to a sales manager, then they're in a finance office. You know, there's just a lot of different people that you move through as you go through a car deal, and making sure that those handoffs are super smooth, that the customer is always aware of where they are in that process and what the next step is, so that they feel taken care of rather than just handed around like a hot potato. It's, as you say, it's more being guided. Like, all right, this is the guide. This is your guide for the first part of this trail. You're going to get to the end. A new guide is going to pick you up and take you through this next phase. And getting customers comfortable with that, comfortable with every person that they're working with, so that even if it doesn't take, even if it's, you know, 2 hours, 3 hours, they don't feel clueless. Why am I just sitting here? You know, they have somebody with them to talk them through all of that. So even if it's long, it's smooth, it's transparent, it's easy to understand. So I think that's a big part of it. And the handoff, especially between the business development center for when a customer is offsite to the sales team when they arrive, is absolutely critical. So what we're doing is we're shooting little introductory videos. So I talked to a BDC agent. My BDC agent tells me, you're going to be working with Steve on the sales floor. And then about 15, 20 minutes after that, or maybe about an hour and a half before the appointment, some time frame like that, you're going to get a video message from Steve with the car, talking to you about how excited he is to see you and to drive this car with you. And that sort of thing just familiarizes. Now I have, as I come into the store, I have a face that I'm looking for who has already told me how excited they are to see me. You know, I have the car pulled up in front of the store so that when I'm driving up as a customer and parking, I can see the car that I came here to grab. It's parked right outside waiting for me. You know, those little touches like that, that ensure the customer throughout the process that they are being cared for, that we are considerate of them and their needs, and that they have an understanding of how it's all going to go down, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, you mentioned putting that personal touch on it. Those are absolutely ways to help somebody feel special when they come in. So they're just not another statistic, not another number. So, I mean, that right there shows how you all kind of separate yourselves from the pack.
Yeah, we do have a full service department, which is unusual for independents. It's definitely something that we talk up a lot. Our lifetime powertrain warranty is a big deal. We have research that shows us that a warranty is the single most important aspect of car buying outside of the vehicle itself. At least in our area, that what people really value is that care after the sale. Do you care about me after you've closed the deal? And you need to show me before this deal closes, show me through your actions, show me through your product offerings, that I matter to you after I sign that check. And I matter to you after that contract has gone to a bank. So warranties are huge for that. Prepaid maintenance is really big for that sort of thing. Staying in touch with customers, birthdays, anniversaries, you know, just the little stuff that says, you matter to us. We are putting our money where our mouths are. You matter to us after we have closed this deal, after you go home in your new car.
Absolutely. So, you know, among the different things you keep in mind from a consumer standpoint, ways to personalize, ways to stand out for them, somebody in your shoes as, you know, director of digital ops has to look at a number of other things with attribution and what's working and what isn't working. What are some of those things you look into, and how do you stay on top of trends in a year like 2020?
Well, we actually, that is one of the most difficult questions facing Positions like mine, internet directors, digital ops, I think that is the most important question. We solved it with Google Sheets, honestly. So, and every dealership is going to feel this way. We all have CRMs. Those CRMs they track our customers. It's great. We can call, text, email through them, but the reporting that comes out the other end is very much a computer engineer's idea of what those reports should look like. So there's a lot of real world things that don't necessarily appear in those reports, and we had to get around that. So in addition to, of course, logging everyone in our digital Rolodex in our CRM, we track separately each individual lead, the reps associated with that lead, whether we got an appointment, whether that appointment showed up, did they buy, who did they buy from. And I have, at this point, I think 6 or 7 years worth of every single internet lead and phone lead that South Tacoma Auto has received, period. I have them all logged in a bunch of different, on my sheets. I have those sheets aggregating to a single kind of master. This is your results for any given month, any given year. And then of course I can take all of that, load it into fun data visualization displays, pie charts and graphs and trend lines and things like that for management. But at the end of the day, I think the important thing is be a master of your own data. Don't let third-party vendors tell you how well they're doing. Don't let your CRM fool you into thinking that somebody who's just going through clicking the complete call button is making dedicated phone calls to your customers. Double check those things. And for me, I would say in-house your data as much as you can. Like if you can have a place where you're stashing it for yourself, and where you can hold your vendors accountable beyond the reports that they're going to generate and they're going to give to you, I think that is critically important. So, I mean, when I'm tracking trends and I'm keeping an eye on attribution, I'm doing it entirely with my own in-house data. And part of that is training. You got to make sure that your BDC staff is prepared to do that data entry, has the meticulous, detail-oriented nature required to complete all of those steps and get that data into the right place, and explain to them why you're doing it. The why is so important across any industry. The why is important, and for us to be as effective as we possibly can to make sure that I'm not feeding my BDC bad leads, unqualified traffic, I ask them to tell me what's happening with their traffic. So I can identify weak lead sources and cut out the waste of time. I can, if I see something that's going really well, I can invest more heavily into it and, feed them better and bring more people into the store. So it's really that contract that we have between us. If you do the data entry right, I will use that data to make your life better. And that's kind of the deal that we've struck.
Definitely so. Any specific trends that you have maybe your eyes on, things you could see developing in the next couple of months or year?
Definitely these last 60 days have shown something really interesting in our data, which is that the amount of uncertainty just kind of floating in the air right now has driven a lot of what I would call on the fence buyers out of the market. So May and June, what I think most dealerships saw this, we certainly did. There was a spike, all of this pent up demand from the lockdowns late March through April. There were people who needed cars during that time. They couldn't buy them and they went out and they got them. After that, into your August, September now kind of period, what we've seen is there are fewer people casually inquiring. Fewer people who are wondering, is this maybe the right time? And giving us an opportunity to convince them that now is the right time and that we are the right store. With fewer buyers on the fence like that, what we've seen is a decline in overall traffic, a decline in overall lead traffic, but an increase across the board in our conversion rates. The number of those who submit leads, who are actually setting appointments, who are actually coming through the door and who are closing, those percentage rates are going up. because, and to my mind, what that's telling me is my tire kickers are not kicking tires right now. They're, if you were maybe not, you're in the not camp and you're not really shopping right now. But if you need a car and you are shopping right now, you are committed to buying a car. So that puts the pressure on us, you know, it puts the pressure on the BDC that we know these people are in the game for real. Every lead that we receive right now is deadly serious about picking up a car, and it becomes incumbent on us to take maximum advantage of that opportunity, because the overall number of people that we can convince, so we can take off the fence, we're not getting to talk to as much.
That's a really fascinating insight, and you know, something that I don't know that a lot of people can kind of see coming, you know, with everything going on this year. But that is, like you said, it makes sense. You know, you might have fewer leads overall, but the leads that you get are of higher quality and more intentful, if
Correct.
you will.
And they're also shopping more broadly. So the percentage when we see our no shows, or we can't close a deal, the number of those people who are out at another dealership the day before their appointment, the day after their appointment, and buying a car somewhere else is way up. Because these people, if they're not going to buy a car, and sales managers have been saying this for years, I'm just arguing that it's never been more true than it is right now. That a customer who did not buy a car from me today is buying a car from my competitor tomorrow. That is absolutely the world that we're living in right now. So it's incumbent on us to put our best foot forward as soon as possible, as hard as possible, for as long as possible. Because the customers out there right now will buy a car. It's just a question of, will they buy a car from you?
Well, and it's interesting too that you mentioned that, because you've seen a you know, demand and you know, from consumers, that customer experience become more the focal point, and you see a lot of businesses now are focusing on customer experience above all else. Tell me some of the things that you all have done, you know, in addition to a lot of the things you've already mentioned, to make it all about customer experience and not just, you know, getting a number done.
Yeah, for us, I mean, it comes back to your people. The process of buying a car itself has not really changed very much since, I would even argue, the 1990s. There are a lot of new fun bells and whistles that are attached to it. We've made it much easier for customers to get in touch with us and all that. But at the end of the day, we are still, the process laid out is basically the same. The customer comes to us, we propose them a deal, they agree to that deal, we propose it to a bank, you know? So we can speed that process up, and we're doing digital contracting. You know, we're printing on the good old laser printer rather than an Oki data. You know, places where we can shave off just a few seconds of time on that. But for us, it's about that human element. Customers, when they come into a store, people want to be treated like people. People are not ups. People are, you know, they're teachers, they're firemen, they're military veterans, they're fathers of three, they're, you know, stepmoms with a difficult stepchild, you know, whatever it happens to be, we want to meet them where they are. And so for us, it's about, rather than marrying ourselves to one specific, this is the only way that we do it process, we prefer to be flexible. We prefer to work with our customers. And I mean, we've, in light of what's been going on now, we've got our home delivery up and running. We were already doing out of state and contactless deals prior to this, so we really just had to adapt the process a little bit. But even there, I really do think the thing that sets us apart, on top of our value package, the 3-day buyback, the CPO, no haggle pricing, a service department, all those things that are our why buys, underneath all of that, it's important that we reflect, and that our reputation reflect, that we care about the human being, that we care about the person who's coming through the door. And that's what we see in our reviews. We see this no pressure comes up all of the time. It's one of our biggest goals. We want the customers to come in and be relaxed and comfortable, because we are only here to meet your need as you describe it to us and as we understand it. So focusing on keeping a pressure-free environment, keeping an environment where you can bring in your kids and we'll give them a coloring book and no one's going to give you a weird look. These sorts of things really, really matter a lot, especially again, in the independent space, which is so very much yesterday, today, tomorrow. What happened yesterday, today, tomorrow? That can really turn customers into just assembly line. My next up, my next up, my next shot to sell. And we have found that there's more success to be had in slowing down a little bit, and looking at each person, as a whole person. And it can be difficult, it can be frustrating at times, but the payoff at the end of the day, I mean, we're sitting on Google with over 1,000 reviews and a 4.7%, all from our actual customers. And it's because of that human element. It's because of the focus on meeting the needs of the customers in a clear, transparent, and easy way, so that they can walk through a process feeling confident that they know everything that we know.
Before we wrap things up, wanted to talk a little bit about how FZA Digital has helped you with a lot of your digital needs. So what have been some of the most effective ways that FZA Digital has helped you all get in front of your customers?
Well, FZ has been a wonderful partner of ours for about 2 years, and I am a very demanding client, because I mean, my whole job is the web space. So my account manager can expect several emails from me containing screenshots of Google Analytics and my concerns and what we should be doing next. So I'm going to predicate what I say here by saying I am an above average demanding client. And Fusion Zone has always stepped up to the challenges that I have offered. As a result of that, we put together a website design unlike anything that Fusion Zone had put out before. And it works. It's beautiful and it works. And anytime that I ask for a redesign or an update on content, those sorts of things, the turnaround time from the team at FZ has just been phenomenal. And their willingness to listen and to try some new things and to pay attention to my long ranting emails about what we can be doing better. So I think that has been phenomenal. I think product specific, the SEO package, the SEO expertise offered by FZA Automotive is second to none. We went from doing above average in our market in terms of rankings on Google search. We were okay. We were near the top. Now we dominate the space. The independent space in our DMA, we own. And that is because of the work of Fusion Zone's, not only the architecture of the website, which promotes its own SEO, and even in its own, like all the way down to the code, it is designed for search engines to love it. And then on top of that, having a team that pays attention to my local market, not just national trends, so that when I'm putting content out there, it's relevant to the people that I am focusing on. It's not relevant to the average consumer. It's relevant to my Tacoma neighborhood. Like and it's also relevant to what we have going on at the store. Like these last couple of months, we've really been pushing our out-of-state business. We've really been pushing our contactless delivery. We've been pushing our boutique vehicles. And all of that is a shift from even a year ago when we were talking about having affordable cars for first-time buyers. Now we're moving into this more niche inventory, and we're talking about sports cars for enthusiasts, and we're talking about luxury cars for people who don't want to have to go talk to a guy in a suit and tie in order to get the luxury car. Like you can come to South Tacoma Auto, you can have a great experience, and you can walk away in a 2018 Mercedes GLA, and we can make that happen. And Fusion Zone is largely responsible for broadcasting those messages and making sure that those broadcasts rank and register and hit people when they're searching relevant keywords. So my biggest shout out for Fusion Zone has got to be the SEO side. And when we turned on, I'm sure that my team is going to be seeing this, so I want to make sure that they're all with it. The way that Fusion Zone synergizes between website management, SEO content, and PPC, which is a program that we got on earlier this year, is really remarkable. Like being able to sit down with what is effectively my staff at Fusion Zone and talking through a month, being frank with one another about what went well and what went poorly and what we can do to change is also a game changer. It's so much better than having a social media advertising monthly meeting, and then an SEO advertising monthly meeting, and then your website, and then trying to get everybody onto the same email thread, but we're all on different agendas, different companies, different ticket systems. It is so much easier to have a single point of contact who can summon up my team or any specific member of that team to accomplish my objectives. That is extremely refreshing. It streamlines the process. It makes accountability much, much easier to track. I think it has, just that alone has boosted our productivity and our effectiveness when it comes to executing the ideas that we have in the store.
That is Jacob Tice, Director of Digital Operations at South Tacoma Auto. Jacob, thank you so much for your time today. Great catching up with you. Hope to talk to you soon, and have an excellent Q4 in 2020.
Thanks so much, Mike. It was good to talk to you.
All right.